Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and Joss Whedon has had an interesting career when it comes to Hollywood, getting his start working on Roseanne and then writing Toy Story, as well as creating Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angels, Dollhouse, Firefly, and a bevy of other things that he has been very well rewarded for in terms of geek culture. But he's not without his controversies. He, of course, had the falling out with Kevin Feige over Age of Ultron, prompting him not to come back to finish out the Avengers trilogy that the Russo brothers picked up and carried well over the finish line, at least for part one, crafting such a good movie that I don't think that we would have gotten the same experience had Joss Whedon continued down that particular pathway. But he's also come under controversy for having cheated on his wife, and when she called him out last year, even though he claims to be a male feminist, she basically called that into question and alluded to him sleeping with actresses that he's hired to be in his stuff, which is kind of funny considering the fact that HBO here has just given him a new show about fancy Victorian women with superpowers. Now, by many people online, this is going to be championed as being a big thing, a huge thing, obviously, right? Joss Whedon is going to be coming back into the fold of television on a non-Fox network, so the likelihood of him actually getting a full couple seasons is probably going to be pretty high. But will the controversy of him writing about women come back and bite him in the ass? Remember, his Wonder Woman script was heavily lauded when it was leaked out for how misogynistic it was. So it's kind of funny when he's known for writing strong female characters, but tends to get that kind of crap. But let's find out more about what it is. Let's not judge a book by its cover. Maybe this is going to be something that should be okay. Now, it says HBO is still the name to beat when it comes to prestige genre television, and apparently it has no intentions of losing that title. The network's teaming up with Joss Whedon for a series set in a fanciful world of social norms and secret powers, which, hey, right off the bat, that sounds pretty cool. Now, The Hollywood Reporter says that HBO has greenlit Whedon's The Nevers, a series about a group of women in the Victorian era who suddenly find themselves manifesting a number of strange superpowers. Naturally, the women become targets of those who would cause them harm, and together they set out on a mission that could change the world. So from what it basically kind of seems like here, is these women find themselves getting strange superpowers, and I believe it's going to become public. And then the public in the Victorian era, this is back during the time when if a woman were to show off her ankle, that could get you lynched or stoned in the street. Obviously, they're going to want to be, fighting off whatever's coming their way. And from this, at least basic premise, it does make it appear that there's not going to be like, a kind of a counter society, right? If these are going to be like the Victorian X-Men women, there's not going to be like a sisterhood of mutants coming after them. However, that will probably also be a thing. Joss is nothing without relying heavily on tropes from time to time. But in a public statement, he does say here that he describes the Nevers as maybe the most ambitious narrative I've created. Which, while very much the sort of thing one says in an announcement about the show they're running and writing, is still rather interesting given his work. He did Firefly. Everyone wants more Firefly. Hell, I want more Firefly. I think Joss Whedon, as far as being a human is concerned, is very low on the totem pole, but the guy crafted some pretty good stuff in Firefly. I'd love to see more of it. But it says here that there's no word yet on when The Nevers is set to begin production, who's going to be in it, or when we should expect it. But given how HBO is really committed to genre television with upcoming shows like Lovecraft Country and The Watchmen, it's safe to assume that the show will be airing at some point in the not too distant future. And you have to love there that they're focusing on the not too distant future, obviously harkening back to the opening of X-Men from 2000. Just thought that's kind of funny. So what can we expect out of the show? For the most part, not much, probably. Not much in terms of information for a while, but it definitely falls in line with a lot of what Joss Whedon tends to create when it comes to female-led shows. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, seemingly ordinary high school cheerleader, finds out she's a bloodline of vampire hunters, and she has super speed, super strength, and the ability to tail off the undead. Then you got Dollhouse having very similar prospects. You've got Eliza Dushku's character being able to kind of become whoever they want her to be, skills and abilities and all. And so there's all that. Then he plays in those kind of things. Like I said, he's not without his controversy. He's not without people that are at this point actively wanting him to fail. Those would be people who do not like his politics, because he was very much pro Hillary Clinton, going as far as to create a pro Hillary Clinton super PAC that got like all of the people from the Avengers to come on in and talk, you know, and like pimp this for him. And ultimately he lost, and he's kind of lost his mind in some aspects since then. But he's also, you know, a big male feminist. And so we can expect a lot of those themes to appear in the show. And again, listen, I just want to point out for the record, I'm not against those themes existing. I'm not against those themes being explored, provided that they're done in a way that is conducive to the story. And I think that Whedon, in terms of his writing, could probably pull that off. Now, the controversies that happen either behind the scenes or that happen with the actors or whatever else, that will be what either makes or breaks this particular show. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit more information right around Comic-Con, which is next week. It feels interesting that they're announcing this show now instead of right before then, but they probably don't want to get lost in the news cycle if the show is not, in fact, going to be talked about at the con. But I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this one. Do you think it sounds interesting? Does the Nevers, a Victorian era HBO show that is going to focus on 5 women with superpowers, do you think it's going to be interesting? Do you think it's going to rely on a lot of gore and violence and nudity? Because that's kind of what HBO goes for. They don't really have a lot of shows that, in terms of genre TV, that aren't aimed at the more mature. And maybe that's what Joss Whedon's referring to when he says this is the most ambitious project he's undergone. Again, it's something I'm very curious to know more about, and I want to know what you guys have to say, so be sure to let me know down in the comments. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo, and I will talk to you guys later. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month over at patreon.com/MundaneMatt.